everyone. I hope you all are doing great. So today I'm bringing a topic which talks about original contribution and how a lot of engineers or technical experts in their own field of expertise have originally contributed many things, but due to the NDA agreements between them and their employer, a lot of things get buried inside the NDA. So today I'm going to explain in detail how we can navigate those, those all kind of documents, how we can use it, strategize it in your EB1 or talent visas. I'm going to share my screen and show you how it looks like. I hope you all guys are able to see my screen. All right, let's start. So we know that there are three criterias that needs to get passed on for talent visas. Either you file for O1 or EB1, right? But how to navigate an original contribution when you are an employer in big companies big tech companies like you can say Amazon, or you can say Meta, Walmart, etc., etc. Likewise. So it's been a long time I've been navigating all these visas, and I have come to a point that indeed, when we are going to, strategize your case, and when you are going to strategize your case, you have to be very sure that what are the, five criterias or four criterias that you are picking. And out of them, there are two utmost important criterias, that is original contribution and critical role. Most of the time, I felt like all of my clients who are engineers and who has been into those positions, they have been doing rigorous everyday work in building new things, in developing new things, in modifying new things. But what happened is they don't realize that we are doing something new as a part of their own JD. They think okay, this has to be done. But it ultimately brings up a lot of inputs in your EB1 talent visas. So I'll start one by one each topic, how we can navigate. And I have also given a very beautiful example. And if you guys have any of the questions, you can unmute yourself at the end of the webinar and I can able to answer all of you, or you can drop your questions on the chat box. After completing the webinar, I'm going to definitely go back and answer it. So let's start it. So for example, if you're an engineer trying to get an extraordinary ability visa and your best work is logged behind an NDA, yeah, there is a problem, because USCIS wants what you have done, in a legal document. And you might have been getting a restraint from your HR or from your boss saying that, it's not possible. So you are in the middle of everything. You want to file extraordinary, but you cannot show the document. So you're in the middle of the juncture that what next? This is the hardest part of the talent visa applications. Ultimately, out of everybody, when technical people are applying, they do have this problem. It's not that you can't prove you are good. It's that proving it might break your employment contract. Yes. Sometimes it also happens for example, you wanted to write a trade blog by yourself and you're preparing for it. And definitely you have done a lot of work before, and one of the project that you have handled and you wanted to get into it and you want to write, but there are restrictions. You cannot write or navigate the internal integrities of that project that you've been working around. So I have seen when it comes into the picture, it says that, okay, the employer says, hey, this is not what we want. Can you please make sure it's turned down? It happens with the patents as well. But today we are going to understand the original contribution, that the core crux of your 15-20 years of experience that you've been doing, and how we can navigate it. So the problem is USCIS needs evidence that you did something exceptional. Your NDA says you can't talk about what you did. That's it. That's the problem. So we have to bridge the gap between both of them. And what actually matters is this. When you say you are in the top 1% of your field, they want proof. Not okay, we are extraordinary or exceptional things. That's kind of a vague claims, which gets rejected. So I have seen navigating I build stuff that's important isn't an evidence. We have to showcase why it is important, what's the impact on the domain, and why it is being said as an important. A lot of metrics or the kind of, the kind of enhancement it brought to the company or to the domain is also one of the important part. So I architect the system that handles X million requests per day. Is if your competitors can show detailed work and you can't, they beat you. Like, it's a period. Definitely. Always remember, when you're going to present yourself or strategize yourself in your talent visa, okay, in your EB1 or O1 petition, it's very important to showcase your peer work as well. Why you and why they not? That comparison is needed. So what you will hear, I can talk about my code, it's proprietary. My company won't let me say what I work on publicly. Everything I did is part of a team project. How do I show my piece? The best things I have built are in systems I can't disclose. These all are the things that I've been listening from my clients or anybody who wants to go for a talent visa by the technical expert. They come up with all these questions, and I'm pretty sure that you guys also might have the same thing. Oh, I'm so sorry. Now, what you can actually do? Start by asking your employer. It's very simple, but you have to involve your employer in this just to make sure that you are like navigating things properly. So most companies with H-1B employees already know how to handle this. They do know. They have done it before. Ask your HR or legal team directly. Can you disclose details of your work to USCIS? You can let them know that you're going to file for your talent visa in the future, and you wanted them, if the work that you have done or dedicated your work, if they are ready to disclose it. You can write in writing a simple email from HR saying, yes, you can tell them about your ex's gold. Keep that email in your visa file. It's legal protection, basically. Talk about impact, not how you did it. Definitely. For example, you're building something. It has its own way, the process, the methodology. So none of the companies will say that, okay, you can bring it up in public. Not at all. But you have to showcase the impact. You don't have to showcase the route. You have to showcase the impact. I built this, it got impacted this. I built this, it got impacted that way. This is where your creativity comes in. You can describe results without revealing the secret sauce. Instead of I wrote a custom query optimizer using Excel algorithm, you should say reduced query latency by 60%. So you can say that what that query optimizer is. You don't have to say that I have used this thing to build this way. But you can say what that brings to the table. Instead of I built infrastructure using Y microservices pattern, say let system redesign enabling 10x growth without additional headcount. Instead of I hardened X Z vulnerability class, say design security improvements that eliminated a category of attacks. So this shows complete impact, just not on your company, but also on the domain. Number matters, percentage matters, and real impact matters. So statistics plays a vital role into this picture. Now, use work you have already made public. It's possible. Even if your core work is secret, you probably have things you can use it. For example, you have done a project. That project has a base domain, right? Use that domain. Conference talks you might have given or you would like to give based on that project. Open source projects you maintain, blog posts or articles you have written, patents with your name on them, internal documents that aren't actually secret. So there are lots of internal documents. It depends upon project to project. So when you talk with your strategist or your attorney or whoever has been working as a team in your profile, always ask them this questions. Talk to them and understand that, okay, I have done this. What kind of document I can implement? I've done this. What kind of document I have implemented? Submit redacted versions of internal documents. This I usually let them know because I have seen clients have done like patents in their company, but they cannot like bring up the patent completely or the methodology. So in certain circumstances, you can always redacted the, you can say the precious or the secret part of it. So your manager's email praising your work doesn't have to stay completely secret. Take performance reviews, project summaries, manager emails, black out the proprietary parts. Include a note document redacted to protect confidential company information as per NDA. You can say that. USCIS understands that. So I get queries like this way that, for example, somebody has worked with the army as AI, as an AI technical expert, and they have built something for the army. So army does not give you any kind of, you know, they never give you any kind of a letter or a support saying that this is what you have built. But she has developed a potential, tool which really helps in like saving the country in the borderline. So definitely it's one of the, strongest original contribution that I've felt in her profile. So in those situations, now it depends that how you can redact, how many things you can redact, potentially what all documents you can bring to the picture. USCIS gets it. They have seen this before. It happens. Get people to vouch for you. Reference letters, as we know. So reference letter plays a very vital role. It is a possibility that you have redacted versions of the documents, but if it is redacted too much, then we can always have a support. So always choose precisely who is your reference over there. Okay. For example, if you see this, somebody who is your peer or who is managing your work in your company, and you have like bought up some kind of objective evidence and redacted it for your original contribution, but still it needs a vouch. In certain circumstances, you should always prefer the person who is in the project lane or whom you are reporting and knowing about the project, or even the peer. So your older manager who can speak in general terms about your abilities, colleagues who worked with you and understand your level, industry people who know that what you have contributed to their field. These letters can often say more than you can use them. So it totally depends case-wise, project-wise, and how you are strategizing that particular thing into the EB-1A or talent visa. Now, extraordinary ability. So this is what talent visas and how we can navigate things. Now, EB1 is for people who stand at the very top of their field and exceptional. And we all know there are like, 10 criterias, and they all look around 3 of them to come around. How to handle this with the NDA? And the challenge remains the same. Hidden contributions are real problems, and here what you can do. Speak at major conferences, publish research papers in peer-reviewed journals. I tell you, here is a catch. So when you say publish research papers in peer-reviewed journals, you should navigate the work that you have done is exactly, async with the authorship articles that you are working around. You can also write a book which contribute chapters on your technical part of the work that you have done, and then you can read out it. Always read out it. So this is the project that I have done in my original contribution, and this is the book that I have written. Contribute meaningfully to open source projects. Participate in industry standards committees. Get strong letters from recognized people. As I've discussed earlier, it helps to actually make sure that they are like vouched in, as well as that particular work which was done by you has been recognized. Okay. Now, letters need to come from people with credibility in your field. They should explain why you're exceptional, not just that you're good. See, now there is a catch. These days, USCIS has started saying there is an exceptionally difference between a successful professional and an extraordinary professional. So we have to navigate that whatever we are focusing on, whichever visa, it should get cleared. So always try to explain why you are extraordinary, just not why you are good. Comparison helps. In my 20 years, I've only seen this level of expertise in few times. This kind of sentences helps in the letter of recommendation. Don't use colleagues who will be obviously say nice things. Use people with like high reputation. Basically, it means that somebody who is higher your authority. Quantify impact without proprietary details. Let the design of our distributed system serving 500 million monthly users architect the first comprehensive approach to X in our company's history. Design security framework that reduced vulnerability exploitation by 99%. So I'm going to give you some kind of examples. So the challenge is works at a steel cloud company under strict NDA. Can't talk about architecture, customers, roadmap, or internal security. What they did, what we should do, and what they did. Published 3 papers on distributed systems in IEEE, spoke at AWS, Invent, maintains a GitHub project with 50K stars, got featured in technical media as an expert. From the company, these are what you can do. These are from what company can bring up, or you can have from the company. VP of engineering wrote, we hire only the top 0.1% of engineers. Definitely, then you are coming under those engineers. This person represents that tier. Their infrastructure work was foundational to everything we do. Plus, sanitized performance reviews and redacted emails showing problem solving. Impact statement, redesign core infrastructure, improving reliability from 99.9 to 100 or 99.9, improvement in failure rates affecting millions of users. The result, it depends. These days, USCIS is async. So here I wanted to make you understand that we have to strategize the case accordingly. You might have a book, but it needs to be placed properly. Right. Now let's understand with an extraordinary ability for O1A, which they are like sister brother. So they navigate at the same level. But with O1A, the approval rates are quite higher. It's softer than EB1A. So O1A is basically the same as EB1 in terms of what they want from you, top of the field. But there are some practical differences that actually help when you have an NDA issue. So O1 is different. It's temporary visa, not permanent. It's a change of status. It's not a EB1A, which will give you a pathway for green card. Your employer has to sponsor it, which means they are involved in the process. You can use it as bridge to EB1A later if you want. This I have always seen in a founder level cases, profiles. So first they go for O1 and then they go for EB1A. Slightly more flexibility in how you present evidence. Yeah, it is flexible. It accepts the NDA advantage with O1. Because of your employer is involved, you have more leverage to ask for NDA waivers. You can definitely go that, hey, you're petitioning my, petition itself, you're going to sign it. So these are the things that I needed. Sometimes they have their own attorneys, so they do it very smoothly. Sometimes even if they don't have it and they allow you that, okay, we are going to sign it off, it also is okay. But they would be very flexible because they are the petitioners. Use your employer as your main reference. Your company has reason to detail what you have done. They can provide detailed letters about your role and impact. They might even waive the NDA just for USCIS submission. Yes, it happens. Focus on recognition and awards. Industry recognition and awards, media features and interviews, visibility in your field. So it depends upon how it is being placed. It keeps varying from one person to another, from one profile to another. Where you fit in the best is much more appreciated and needed to be taken care of. Use comparative statements. There are only a handful of people globally with expertise in this specified or specific area. These kind of sentences using works well in the letters. Their approach to problem solving is sought after across the industry. Now, let's take an example like an ML researcher at an AI company, which, you might have seen a lot. So the challenge works at a major AI. Most cutting edge research is confidential. Can't discuss architectures, benchmarks, partnerships, or commercial work. Company wants to sponsor O1A, so they provide detailed reference letter. Let breakthrough work. Only X people globally have this expertise. Company will waive NDA for USCIS submission. This is the advantage. But you have to let your employer know, make them understand about it. Publish 5 papers in any of the journals, regular speaker at AI conferences, citations. It depends about the citations. Technical committee member at IEEE. Let me just add something over here. You might be a fellowship member of IEEE or a senior membership, but you also have to participate regularly to showcase that that particular membership is not just for the sake of membership, but you have been participating into it so that you can prove that, okay, this membership is because of not just I wanted to apply for EB1A, but I wanted to make a contribution in my domain. I wanted to be sure that I keep learning and make other people learn about what is happening in the domain. The evidence, employer letter about contributions to major projects without technical days, published research showing consistent innovation, letters from other known ML researchers watching for that person. So This about the O&A. Now, I'll give you a little bit insights about the national interest waiver as well. National interest waiver is different from the other two, very different. They both are actually aligned, but national interest waiver is very different. You don't need to prove you are at the absolute top of your field in the same way. Instead, you have to show that your work benefits the United States, and that is the national interest to keep you there. This is often the most NDA friendly option. What NIW actually requires: you have exceptional ability in your field, your work benefits the US broadly. Okay, now don't think like, okay, if I target percentage wise, so it should be like, at least I should devote 5%. No, it doesn't work like that. We have to navigate you as a broader picture into the NIW. It's in the national interest to skip the labor certification. Your prospective work will benefit the country. Why this is better for NDAs? It's about the future, not necessarily proving past work. In NIW, you always have to prove a few things. The very first thing is how you place in future. What are your business plans? Do you have a business future plan? If you really, exhibit the business future plan, it really helps a lot. You can emphasize the importance of your field as a whole. Classified or restricted work actually strengthens the case because it shows higher integrity on that particular profile. You can show ability through public work and exceptional external recognition. How to build your NIW case? Now make your field strategic. AI and machine learning, quantum computing, cybersecurity, semiconductors and chip design, biotechnology. It depends. It's just the field of endeavor. It's very important what you do inside that field of endeavor. Tell a story about the future. What will you contribute if you stay in the US? It's very important. Likewise, this particular thing, this question, what will you contribute if you stay in the US, is also important in your EB1A or O1, because we have to place that what is the future of yours in the US if you get this particular talent visa. What happens if you leave? Where will your expertise go? Connect your work to the US policy and priorities. Use public metrics to show you are exceptional. How many papers have you published? How many times are they cited? Open source contributions and projects, speaking engagements and visibility. If your work is classified, use that. This person works in classified projects that are critical to the US interest. I mean, this kind of lines usually helps in your letter of recommendations or expert letters. Security clearance itself is evidence of being vetted at a high level. The restricted nature of this work underscores its strategic importance. It is a bit of opposite than, O1 and EB1A in particular NDA terms. Now let's take an example of a cybersecurity engineer. Cybersecurity engineer at a defense contractor. Okay, this is the strong point out of here. Senior engineer at a major defense company has security clearance. Work is classified. Can't discuss vulnerabilities, methods, clients, or defensive strategies. Angle. Frame the importance of cybersecurity talent. National defense and critical infrastructure protection depend on retaining the top talent in this field. Position person as a critical. Only X% of engineers have both private sector experience and clearance. Connected to the government priorities, current administration emphasis domestic cybersecurity capabilities. Now, public evidence. Published research on cybersecurity trends. Patent is security methods. Speaker at cybersecurity conference recognized in industry publications. Letter in support, VP of security, one of the person who can vouching for you. Likewise, VP of security, there are other multiple leadership people who can go for it. Now, the real scenarios you might face. For a startup engineer, you're employee number 5 at a steel startup. You build core infrastructure that powers everything, but you can't talk about the product itself, competitive pressure, funding concerns. It happens in almost all startups, just not like an engineer, but I have seen happening with almost all startups. What you can discuss is infrastructure patterns, scalability work, how you led the team, engineering process. You can post the blog post, but choose it very wisely, which ones to go for. About what you learned, open source tools you built. You can get letters from founders about how important your work was. Strategy, focus on early employee equity, published work, and strong founder letters. Scenario number 2, financial services. You work in Goldman Sachs or a hedge fund. Training algorithms and risk models are proprietary. Everything requires compliance approval. Indeed. What you can discuss, technology, infrastructure, system design, scale of teams you led. What you can publish, you can definitely publish white papers async with what you have actually developed. I'm repeating myself again. You don't have to write about the method. It is not possible, but you can always write about the ways of how it has been built. That's very different. That's actually more of a research where an academics involvement, and then it develops accordingly. So promotion history, you can use promotion history, compensation levels, or industry recognition. Strategy, highlight firm transformation and mentorships. Compensation and promotions tells the story. Over here, I would like to highlight the mentorships very much. You should do some mentorships. And I believe that everybody who is having 15, 20 years of experience, they already have mentorships. They're already doing it on one-on-one basis, or you can say on even in the other platforms as well. So scenario, academic plus industry. It happens. You are a researcher at a university collaborating with industry. Patents are pending, can't discuss until they are filed. File patents, you can file patents. They become public record shortly after filing. So you don't have to wait until 5 years or 10 years after it actually comes into the picture. You can definitely use your patent grants once it comes. Publish your research. Academic work is expected. Submit patent application number as evidence. Sometimes it is also always available on internet, on the website. Strategy, combine academic credentials with patent track record. Things that actually work, start early, really early. The best time to build a public profile is before you need it. If you're planning to file a visa in 2 years, start now. Publish, speak, contribute to open source, build a network. You won't regret having more evidence than you need. So just want to add a few things over here. The way it was happening before was a little bit different from what it is happening right now. So USCIS has extremely started differentiating between who are successful professionals and who are extraordinary professionals. Previously, there was a time when successful professionals were able to get through it, but now it's more about extraordinary ability. So likewise, as the rhythm changes, you also have to make sure that the profile also gets built up accordingly. Keep permission in writing. If your employer says you can discuss something, you can say in email saying so. This protects you legally and proves the company supported your visa as well. And definitely try discussing with your HR or your manager about this. Most of the time they support, because they know for a fact that you're going to file for extraordinary ability or a talent visa, and you need some kind of things. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. It means that if you only have company letters, you are stuck if the company gets difficult. So always have blend of everything, just not the letters from the company, but from your previous employer, but from your independent expert letters, and a blend of the basket. Have publication, speaking, open source, peer letters. Multiple sources mean you are not dependent on any one thing. This actually makes your case much more stronger, indeed. And then you can involve your immigration lawyer involved about it. Ask for letters from people who understand the level of the work that you have done. What not to do? Yeah, don't use NDA as a blanket excuse. Try to get it, talk about it. And then definitely, I don't say that we can get everything, but yes, we can get a few of the things definitely, how to navigate. Most NDA have carve-outs, most allowed disclosure when legally required. Have a lawyer look at it. You probably have more flexibility than you think. There are sometimes we think that, okay, it's not going to happen, kind of a vague descriptions instead of evidence don't work, and they are obvious. I made important contributions to cloud. Then there is a problem. We have to showcase it. I led a system that handles X million requests per day. Be as specific as your NDA allows. Don't build your case solely on internal documents. That's also important. You have to navigate the external documents as well, that your authorship articles or your blog posts that you have been doing, or your conference articles or presentations, the ways that you have been working around. So it should be a blend and mixture of it. Don't wait until you are ready to apply. Okay, try to negotiate NDA waivers 3 months before your visa filing is stressful and weak. So it depends upon the case to case. It's not always the same case for everybody. So it completely depends upon where your case stands and how it navigates. It's better you talk to your employer and make them understand about it, they do understand about it. Because it's straightly going to USCIS. It's not like something is coming in between the public, right? They can plan disclosures and prepare to support you. There is, when you go and say them that I'm going to do this XYZ, they're going to prepare, kind of a plan that, okay, you can show this much. It should be restricted to your immigration attorney, etc., etc. They are more likely to help when you ask proactively. I have seen this. If you're going to ask them, they're going to do it. They're going to definitely going to help it. So at the end, if your best work is locked behind an NDA, it's definitely harder to get a talent visa, but it's not impossible. People do it all the time. They do it. In the previously, they did it. We have to navigate the strategy. Ask your employer for some kind of liberal. Build your public profile, indeed. Use impact metrics instead of proprietary details. Get stronger letters from credible people. Pick the visa category that fits your situation. Start early, start now. Don't wait until you are filing or worry about the evidence. The best time to build a record of your contribution is before you even prove it. I hope that I try to make these things understand. Basically, in Crux, I really want, and I see things that you should definitely go and ask your, employer. Somebody has raised their hand.
Hi, thank you so much for an insightful session. I have two questions and I'll quickly ask them. So you have covered pretty well that how you can use your industry experience or your employer contributions for proving the original contribution. If somebody wants to use their research papers and citations to prove the original contributions, what evidence in 2026 USCIS requires for that? Because citations and research papers in Q1 or Q2 or high impact journals are not enough anymore in 2026. So that's my first question. And my second question is regarding the timeline. And this applies both on proving original contributions through research as well as through industry contribution. So, for example, if somebody has a huge original contribution because they built something in robots or like they made something new, but that was 10 years earlier or 12 years earlier, would that still be considered as major original contribution on which we can build our case on? So this is about timeline, whether through the research papers or whether through the industry contributions.
Okay. I just want to know one thing. If somebody has been like before 10 years and now it's like a 10-year of gap, were they in the same industry and kept building it or
Correct.
not?
They are still in the same industry. They are still doing the same work and they have progressed really well. They are still active, very active in the industry in terms of talks, in terms of research papers and everything. But the original contribution part, like the something which they built from scratch and which has been adopted by a government per se, so that is something really like high in terms of original contribution that happened 12 years or 15 years earlier. So then like how would, if like you talk to attorney says that this could still be considered as a major original contribution and you can build your case on that, but I would love to hear your expert opinion, especially in terms of timelines. I'm trying to understand.
Okay, I tell you how you should strategize it. One thing, definitely you can use it. There is no other question of or doubt that you cannot use it. You can definitely use as a baseline of your original contribution that you have actually developed or worked around 10 years ago. Number one thing. Number two thing, how to strategize it. There is objective evidence around it. You have to pull down the objective evidence. Definitely it is a robotics or it's for a government organization, so there are restrictions throughout. I'm pretty sure
Correct.
about it.
Yes.
So government organizations does not allow you to brought up the things because it is because it is for the protection of the whole nation. There is a situation. That's the reason. You can always ask them, the government, you can say somebody who is at a higher level of government who has actually involved in your case. They can definitely vouch in for your support letters. And no need of telling what you have built, but how it is impacting the industry or domain can be actually treated. You can use research papers to pull down. So you might have done some kind of, developed a software, let's say. How you can pull it down in the research paper. In the research paper, make sure that the whole method or process is not written. It's not, because it's not, you don't owe it, the government owe it, right? And you are hired for doing it. So you cannot, you actually by default, you don't have that right to write it down. What you can do is you can write a research paper around it, understanding that how it has been contributed and what is the scalability of it. So there is a way you can definitely, work with somebody who understands the methodology part very well, and jot down the points that you can add, remove the points that you cannot add, and then navigate the research paper around it. So it's also a public document that maintains that, okay, you have done, and automatically original authorship articles counts under the original contribution because it is written by you. Something that is developed or originally contributed by you, by individual, that counts under the original contribution, and authorship is one of them. So every time when there is one particular evidence, it does not async with only one particular criteria. It async with 100, not 100, but 4 to 6 criterias. How to position it, it completely depends upon case to case.
I thank you very much for that, but I just want a little bit more clarification on my first question. You say that authorship is already original contribution, correct? But in 2026, most of the attorneys are saying that authorship in high impact journals, even if you are the first writer, plus very good citations, specifically from an industry perspective. If somebody has more like an industry profile, but then they have 500 plus citations, let's say, so which is pretty good. But they also say that in order to prove authorship is already proven, but in order to prove original contribution through that, you need to still get the recommendation letters. So I'm just trying to understand better that what type of recommendation letters to prove the original contribution through research papers, and from whom. Like, because the citations is already there, those people are using it, those people are teaching it in their conferences and everything else, or classrooms as well. So what type of recommendation letters on top of authorship and citation is required to prove the original contribution through research? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Okay, so here is a catch. It's just not the letter of recommendations is needed. Okay, those are one of the things that is, if like you can like vouch in or add on. But to make it more stronger, you can use the objective evidence, the evidence that is like hidden, as I said, under the NDA clause, that you cannot use this evidence or you cannot use that evidence, you cannot get into the patent. You might have developed something and it is under the commercial segments, you cannot bring up the patents. There are some documents that is always there which can prove that you have done this work. To navigate that, just not the letter of recommendation are needed, the objective evidence needed to be included. So it totally depends upon case to case. And to understand, okay, you have developed something, what all development stages are there. So for example, a software is developed or a robotics AI has been developed, and there are 7 steps included that development. Under those 7 steps, what all things we can actually use it and what all things we cannot use it. The things that we cannot use it, can there be exceptional going back to the government and ask that, hey, can I redact it and do it? So these are the circumstantial things that we have to like understand case by case, whether it is doable or not. Let's come to the expert opinion letters, as you said, what kind of letters or support letters that can be helpful. Anybody who is or who has worked inside that particular project with you would be the best person to vouch in for you in respect to that particular project when there is a high confidentiality act involved. That would be the best person. Can be your peer, can be your manager, or can be somebody who is like watching you from the far, but understanding what has been built, would be the right person who can bring or support things inside it. So there are 2 things, just not the support letters, but also the objective evidence. To understand what kind of objective evidence it is, it can be a contract or it can be any kind of a patent that is involved. But I have seen the methods being used and they were completely redacted. But the number of the patent can be used, or the methodology that has been used, that there's given a number. So those are the things that USCIS understands and navigate. Those are confidential. We cannot see through it. But here is the documentation which talks about it. And there are multiple ways that they cross-check from their own ways. So this is how you can like navigate the complete structure of it. I hope I was able to reply you. Okay. Anybody else has any questions?
Yeah, hi Swatilina. Would you be sharing this word or is just for this session or a recording?
Yeah, recording would be there on YouTube. Also, it will be shared on Open Atlas community. And if you want the
Okay.
document, I can share it with you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anybody else has any kind of questions? All right, then we take a from the session. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to me. If you have more questions or if you want to like understand how to navigate this, what kind of documents or objective documents you can like definitely use it, you can just email me and I'll help you out to understand what kind of documents you can just use it in your original contributions case by case. So my email ID is swati@visaarchitect.com.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much. It was a very valuable session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swati. It was really helpful.
Thank you. Bye-bye.